The anime begins with Mei, a 16-year-old girl who has no friends, since she was falsely accused of letting the class pet rabbit go many years ago, which caused her to be a lonely and quiet girl. One day, she bumps into Kenji, Yamato's best friend, the most popular and friendly boy in school. Kenji says that he has never heard Mei speak, and that seems interesting to Yamato. Later, Kenji annoys the girls at the stairs because of the length of their skirts, and when he notices that Mei is wearing a longer skirt than normal, he pulls it off, which makes Mei so angry that she kicks in the boy who is bothering her, but she thinks it was Yamato, and after falling down the stairs, Yamato laughs, even more interested in her. After school, Mei finds aggressive notes from Yamato's fan club, demanding that she apologize to Yamato because he is innocent. At that moment, Yamato arrives and apologizes for the attitude of his friend, and when she sees his hand hurt by her kick, she also apologizes to him. Then he confesses that he finds her interesting, but she thinks he's making fun of her and leaves. Yamato does not give up and chases her to ask her to exchange phone numbers, but she does not want to, so he gives her his number written down on a piece of paper, and she in return, gives him a bandage for the wound on his hand. After that, she goes to the bakery, where she works and runs into a creepy customer. The next day, Yamato chases her around the school, asking her why she didn't call them last night, and she says that she doesn't have friends because she doesn't trust anyone, and shows him that her only two contacts on her phone are her mom and the bakery. For Mei, people always betray others in the end, and although he says that not everyone is like that, that conviction is deep in Mei's heart. Yamato is left speechless when Mei tells him that she doesn't want friends, and later, he agrees to go out singing karaoke with Kenji and Asami. At night, after leaving the bakery, Mei notices that the creepy guy from yesterday is following her, and she runs to hide in a convenience store, and tries to call her mom, but she doesn't answer. Then Mei remembers Yamato and calls him, desperately asking for help, and although he was in the karaoke room having fun with his friends, he runs to the convenience store to save her. She tells him the situation, and he realizes that the guy waiting for Mei outside is a stalker, so he puts his arm on her shoulder, and pretends to be her boyfriend. They leave the convenience store, and Yamato tells her that he loves her, and kisses her in front of the stalker. This makes the guy so angry that he leaves indignant, and Mei can't stop looking at Yamato, blushing, unable to believe that she has had her first kiss. After the kiss, Yamato gives her a popsicle, and she thanks him for coming to her, even though she thought he wouldn't, and from that moment on, Mei decides to trust Yamato just a little bit, and he decides to take her to the karaoke room to relax a little. Although, she soon becomes overwhelmed and runs away. As the days go by, Yamato doesn't stop to say hello, and to look for Mei everywhere, and she can't stop thinking about their kiss. In class, Asami approaches her to show her something cute, but they are soon bothered by Kenji, who loves to bother Asami. Then they go to the bathroom together, and Asami asks her if she has already kissed Yamato, and Mei stammers and confirms it, and Asami says that she has kissed him too. At that moment, some mean girls come in, and call Asami Watermelon Girl, but Asami just smiles and leaves. After school, Asami and Mei go to eat something, and Asami tells her that she has always been picked on for the size of her breasts, and once in middle school, Yatomo defended her from some boys, and they became friends. Mei asks her if she likes Yamato, and Asami says that she liked him before, and even asked him for a kiss, and he kissed her without further ado, which showed Asami that he had no feelings for her, and not only that, Asami tells her that rumor says that Yamato has kissed all the cute girls at school, except Aria, his first love. At night, Yamato calls Mei on his cell phone, and invites her to go to karaoke tomorrow, and she asks him if Aria will go, and when he confirms it, she tells him that she knows about the rumor that he has kissed all the girls except his first love, Aria, and he tells her that those are crazy rumors, but Aria's part is true, so Mei says that she won't go to the karaoke. The next day, Mei watches Yamato interact with Aria, and thinks that he hasn't kissed her yet because he respects her. After that, she goes to the bathroom, and listens to how the mean girls from yesterday talk ill about Asami, and she calls them out, which earns her a slap and scratches from them. When Yamato sees her, she lies to him that she fell, and he puts a bandage on her cheek, worried about her. At that moment, Asami sees her, and decides to take her to the infirmary to put ice on her. Later in PE class, Kenji gets hit in the face by a ball, and goes to the infirmary, and listens to how the mean girls make fun of Asami, and he angrily comes in to defend her, and says that big melons are the best, because it means that she has great aspirations in her heart, but at that moment, Kenji's nose starts bleeding, and they think it's because he was talking about breasts. Asami runs away, embarrassed, and Kenji and Mei run after her. Mei tells Kenji that she noticed that he has special feelings for Asami, and he should be the one to talk to her. That encourages Kenji, and he runs to look for Asami. He confesses that he loves her, and obviously, he likes her big breasts, but he also likes her smile, and the way she is, and every time he sees her, he's happy. Later, Asami tells Mei that she is now dating Kenji, and thanks her, which leaves her thinking about Yamato. At night, Yamato is at karaoke with his friends, and Aria wants him to kiss her, since he has kissed many girls and even Mei, an insignificant girl that bothers Yamato, but he doesn't show it. Later, he leaves karaoke, and finds Mei, who was spying on him from an alley to see if he was leaving with Aria. That makes him happy, and he kisses her again, making Mei cry. She tells him that a kiss without feelings hurts, so Yamato gets serious, and kisses her repeatedly, to greet her for being cute, for being the girl with whom he wants to go further, and for being the girl he has feelings for. Finally, he asks her if she loves him, and warns her that if she doesn't answer him, he will give her a real kiss, and she starts to tear up and confesses that her heart hurts every time she thinks about him, and he takes it like as a love confession, and kisses her seriously. Days later, Yamato finds Mei covering a box with a cloth to protect a stray kitten from the coming rain, and notices that her hair is frizzy, and she says she has to cut it soon, and he jumps at the chance to invite himself to go with her. In the afternoon, Yamato insists that this is their first date, and they have to hang out first before going to the hair salon, and for the first time, Mei realizes how handsome Yamato is, as Mei girls try to flirt with him, and she feels self-conscious, so he takes her hand and says that she is his girlfriend, and they should act more like a couple. Mei feels comforted by holding his hand, until they run into Aiko and Masashi, Yamato's friends, who insist to go bowling with them. Aiko doesn't understand what Yamato saw in Mei, since she looks so simple, and he seems very enthusiastic about her, especially when Mei demonstrates her bowling ability. Then, Aiko takes Mei somewhere else to talk to her alone, and asks her if this a date, and Mei is honest saying that she just wanted to cut her hair, and he invited himself, and that bothers Aiko, who asks Mei if she loves Yamato, and she only answers maybe. That makes Aiko even more angry, and she complains that many girls want to go out with Yamato, for example her, who was already made love with him, so Mei decides to go home, and Aiko tries to convince Yamato to stay with them, but he runs off after Mei, and can't find her, and on top of that, it's about to rain. Meanwhile, Aiko remembers how she met Yamato in middle school. She put on so much makeup to please her boyfriend, that she ended up ruining her face. And although Yamato saw her face without makeup, he says that she was pretty just the way she was. But the makeup wasn't enough for Aiko's boyfriend, and he ended up cheating on her. So when Aiko discovered it, and she thought she was the ugliest girl in the world, and sought Sauls and Yamato, and took advantage of his kindness by asking him to sleep with her to prove that she was worth it. After that, Aiko went on an extreme diet and lost almost 20 kilograms to make Yamato like her even more, although that was not necessary. On the other hand, Yamato continues looking for Mei, and decides to go look for her at the schoolyard, where she keeps the little kitten, and he was right. She was there taking care of the little cat. He wants to know what Aiko told her, but she says that Aiko is right, she's not good enough to be with someone like him, and he decides to take her to his former middle school. Yamato tells her that his classroom was full of bullies and gang members, so he used to mix with them like a chameleon to avoid being attacked, but one day, his best friend became their target, and Yamato also pushed him aside, only talking to him secretly, until his friend transferred schools, and he still hasn't forgiven himself for that. To Yamato, she is too good for someone like him, someone who is worthless, and he thinks he does the same thing in high school, living through others, and she says that he has many friends, but Yamato thinks that they are only with him for his looks, and Mei tells him that he should trust his friends more, and that makes him laugh, because of the irony since she is the one who says it. Then he confesses that he fell in love with her when she kicked him, and she says that makes him seem more human, and they kiss under a clear sky, and Mei can't stop thinking that Yamato is like her. He has scars that wants to hide. The next day, Yamato gives Mei a couple's bracelet as proof of his love, which does not go unnoticed by many classmates, who now even see her cute because she smiles more often. This is also noticed by Kakeru, a playboy who sleeps with several girls at the same time to feel as popular as Yamato. Kakeru goes looking for Yamato, and asks to meet his girlfriend, and Yamato, a little confused, accepts the proposal. Then he goes in search of Mei, who's in a hurry because a teacher tried to confiscate her bracelet and she ran away. He is just happy that she treasures his gift so much and kisses her hand. Yamato tells her about going out with Kakeru, and says that it would be good for her to make friends through him, so she accepts too. In the afternoon, Kakeru tells Aiko about his outing with Mayu and Yamato, which leaves her devising plans to have Yamato back, since when she begged him to sleep with her, she thought they were going to be a couple, not a one-night thing. On the weekend, Kakeru tells Mei and Yamato that he will pay for lunch, and tries to make small talk with Mei, which is a little difficult because she has a hard time talking to strangers, but Yamato assures her that he's a good guy, and she agrees to save his phone number. Suddenly, Yamato receives a call, and Kakeru insidiously tells Mei that it's probably a girl, but she doesn't seem worried, so Kakeru starts offering himself as a bed friend with who can sleep whenever she wants, and that shocks her, and she eliminates his contact in his face, and pays for her lunch and leaves. When Yamato returns, he sees that Mei is gone, and runs off to look for her, but Kakeru follows him, and says that Mei is just another girl, and he can look for another one whenever he wants, and Kakeru could take her. That angers Yato and he punches him in the face, yelling that Mei is his, and she wouldn't date someone like him. The next day at school, Mei avoids Yamato while he looks for her, so she prefers to spend time in the old school building, where she overhears a conversation. Meanwhile, Kakeru tells Aiko what happened, and she admits that she would never have imagined Yamato angry, and he accuses her of taking Yamato's side, but she makes fun of him saying that Yamato is different, and that's why girls will always prefer him. That makes Kakeru angry, and he venomously says that Yamato would never sleep with her again if he saw the scar she has on her stomach for her dieting. All this is heard by Mei, who angrily comes out from her hiding place and mocks Kakeru, by telling Aiko that he chews loudly while he eats, and it is disgusting to watch. Kakeru gets enraged and pushes her before giving into his anger. Mei tells Aiko that she admires her since she was able to change drastically to feel better, while she tried to get away from everyone without changing, but since she is with Yamato, she feels more human, and her feelings for him are more deep, and does not plan to lose to her. That makes Aiko smile genuinely, who confesses that Yamato rejected her a long time ago and leaves. Later, Mei goes to look for Yamato, and finds him playing with a stray kitten. He apologizes for making her meet Kakeru, and she realizes that his hand is bandaged from the punch he gave Kakeru. Then she asks him if he slept with Aiko, and he answers honestly that it is true, but it was something he couldn't help because Aiko was going crazy. But he swears that he won't sleep with anyone else from now on, only with her, and she blushes so much that she shulls him, and accidentally hits his injured hand. Then she kisses his hand, and promises herself to treasure these emotions since this scar was made for her. Days later, Yamato finds Mei looking sad because she has found an abandoned baby cat and she can't adopt it because already has a cat, so Yamato decides to adopt it, and name it Kuro. As the days go by, Yamato becomes more fond of his kitten, and doesn't stop taking photos of it to show it to others. One afternoon, he asks Mei to come to his house the next day with Marshmallow, her cat. The next day, she feels a little nervous since she has never been in a boy's room, but she convinces herself that the invitation was for Marshmallow, not her. When Mei arrives at Yamato's house, she is greeted enthusiastically by her boyfriend, but not so much by Nagi, his little sister. After the awkward introductions, Yamato takes Mei to his room and hugs her, which makes her nervous, and he says that he won't do anything that she doesn't want, and sits on the couch, but she trips and falls on his lap, and he wastes no opportunity to hug her again, and asks her to call him by his first name, but that is difficult for her, so he says that he will settle for her saying that she loves him. Suddenly, Nagi enters with the tea and pastries, and is shocked to see them together and hugging, and accuses Mei of assaulting her brother. This angers Yamato and he asks Nagi to apologize, but Nagi refuses and throws her paint plush rabbit at him, and she leaves the room. Yamato tells Mei that Nagi used to be a kind girl, but everything changed a few months ago. She stopped going to school, and even her friends stopped coming to visit her, so he gave her the pink plush rabbit to cheer her up. What Yamato doesn't know is that Nagi realized that her classmates only went to her house to eat her pastries and hang out there, but without even talking to her, and that's why she decided to not have friend. While they are having tea, Mei is surprised by how delicious Nagi's pastries taste, and Yamato tells her that she's very skilled at baking and many other things. Suddenly, he receives an urgent call from Kenji, asking for his help, and unfortunately, Yamato has to go, and ask Mei to take care of Marshmallow and Kuro, but Mei decides to go talk to Nagi, and brings her the pink plush rabbit, and tells her how delicious her pastries tasted, and Nagi shows her room, which she decorated herself with many plush animals she made. Mei tells Nagi that she didn't have friends and prefer to be alone because friends only betray you in the end, and Nagi tears up agreeing with her. But Mei met Yamato and he taught her that it is good to trust people and make friends, because they are the ones who teach you to grow and share your pain, and she is sure that one day, Nagi will find someone who shares her hobbies and interests, which gives hope to the little girl. Suddenly, Mei remembers that she left Kuro and Marshmallow alone, and she runs to Yamato's room, but she finds them sleeping peacefully together. Then Nagi gives Mei a plush bear as a gift and gratitude for understanding her, and they both fall asleep on the couch, waiting for Yamato. And when he returns, he doesn't understand what happened between them, but silently thanks Mei. Over time, Nagi and Mei become great friends, and exchange cell phone numbers. Mei wants to learn how to bake something, so one day, Nagi sends her an easy recipe for cookies, and warns her that she has to do it right because she knows they are for Yamato. On the way home, Yamato is happy because things between Kenji and Asami are going well, and they radiate happiness. Mei is also happy for them, and while Yamato hugs her, he asks her to call him by her first name, but she still can't do it, and he says that he will soon get her to say his name. At night, Mei tries to make cookies, but she is very clumsy, causing her mother to laugh. The next day, a famous amateur model transfers to school, and catches everyone's attention because of her beauty. She is Megumi, and Kenji can't believe that Yamato isn't interested. At the end of school, Yamato finds Megumi waiting for him. She says she wants to be with him, and it doesn't matter if he has a girlfriend. She has no problem sharing, and that leaves Yamato speechless, and he politely tells her that he's not interested in girls shallow like her, and leaves with Mei. The next day, Megumi apologizes profusely to Yamato, and says that she just wants to be his friend, which makes Kenji and Asami curious. On the way home, Yamato is worried because Mei hasn't asked him about Megumi, but reassures her that nothing happened with her even though he would like her to ask him. The next day, Megumi tries to spend as much time as possible with Yamato, and that arouses admiration in the students, who think that they make a nice couple of models, so Megumi tells him that her agency is looking for a male model, but he rejects the offer, because he's not interested, but she begs him so much that he agrees just for time. At night, Mei continues baking cookies, and she has finally managed to make them now hard as a rock, but they taste like nothing, and she remembers that Nagi advised her to put her heart into following the recipe, and yet, even Marshmallow the cat is repelled by her cookies. The next day Megumi tells everyone that Yamato accepted her offer to be a model for once, and invites Mei, Asami, and Kenji to go see the photo shoot. Megumi also tells Yamato that her agency wants to talk to him today after school, but he says that he has to walk Mei home, although Mei says that she can go alone. She is sad but doesn't show it. As she walks home, her steps are melancholic since she hasn't walked alone in a long time. The next day, she attends Yamato and Megumi's photo session. He is nervous, but relieved when he sees his girlfriend. The photo session begins, and Yamato doesn't know how to pose since the topic is a love date, so Megumi takes his hand, and asks him to imagine that she is the girl he loves. Then he begins to pose with Megumi, and the photographers praise them saying that they look like a couple in love, and are made for each other. Every compliment to the couple is a blow to Mei's heart. She begins to feel anxious and inferior. For her, Yamato is too bright, and she is just Mei, and without realizing it, a tear slides down her cheek. Sometime later, the magazine in which Megumi and Yamato appear goes on sale, and is a success due to their great chemistry. Although, Yamato only cares about Mei's opinion, and she tells him that they are perfect photos. Days later, Megumi tells Yamato that agency wants to hire him as an official model, since they like the photo shoot a lot, and although he is not interested, he asks Mei for her opinion, and she honestly says that he should accept because it's a good job for attractive people like him. The problem is that the modeling schedule is tough, and Yamato has to spend less time with Mei, and more time with Megumi. Even so, he looks for her even if it's just to have lunch with her, and takes her to the roof to spend time alone. There, he sees that she has a special bag, and tries to take one cookie, but she takes it from him, and tells him that Nagi is teaching her how to bake, and those cookies are still not appropriate, and he asks her to bake something for him one day. The next day, Yamato and Megumi have another photo session, and Yamato promises to text Mei, which makes Mei wait for his message all day, but when the session ends, Megumi invites Yamato to her apartment for lunch, since she has plenty of food and lives alone. She tells him that she takes care of her calories and tries to save as much as possible, because the life of an amateur model is not easy, so she cooks her own food, and that's why she always has plenty, so she invites him to dinner with her every time they has a photo session in the afternoon. When he returns home, he texts Mei, and she is happy but sad. Time passes, and the same routine repeats itself. Megumi and Yamato spend more and more time together, and even their friends notice Yamato's distance. One day, Mei overhears some girls talking about Megumi and Yamato, saying that she has seen Yamato leaving Megumi's apartment at night. Mei freezes and starts crying. At that moment, Asami and Aiko see her crying, and Mei assures them that nothing is wrong, and that makes Aiko angry because Asami is worried. So Mei can't stand it anymore and hugs Asami crying, and tells them everything that has been happening to her. She tried to pretend that she didn't mind the time Megumi and Yamato spent together, but now that she knows that he goes to Megumi's apartment at night, she doesn't know what to think anymore. She wants to trust him, but now she can't. But then, Asami and Aiko give her their point of view. Asami says that it is normal to feel insecure even if sometimes nothing is happening, while Aiko says that she has already lost count of all the time she's been cheated on. Aiko tells her that if she loves a person and has now hit a wall, she should break it herself, and hide, and advises her to show Yamato that she loves him, and after that, she can hide again. That encourages Mei and she makes a decision. She goes in search of Yamato, and kisses him in the hallways. After the kiss, Yamato sees that Mei is crying, and tells her to walk home together. He takes her hand, but Mei can't stop thinking that he's only walking with her because she kissed him. They stop at the park, and he tells her about Kuro, but Mayu is quiet, and wants to ask him why he goes to Megumi's apartment at night. Seeing her so quiet, he takes her hand, and tells her that he would like her to surprise him again, but Mei harshly tells him that she is not that type of girl, which surprises Yamato. He lets go of her hand, and says that's not what he meant, and leaves. The next day, Mei has dark circles under her eyes, because she spent the whole night thinking that she has to apologize to Yamato. So Asami gives her a special keychain in a cat theme park, and tells her that Kenji gave the other one to Yamato because they are a couple keychains, and that gives her the idea to invite him to go to that theme park. So she was looking for him, but instead, she listens to some girls talking about Megumi's new interview, in which she said that she is in love with a model who is as beautiful as Prince Charming, and everyone assumes that she is talking about Yamato, and those girls agree that Yamato and Megumi would make a better couple. This hurts Mei, who decides to go home early, and Asami worries about her, but Aiko thinks that Mei needs time alone because she's fighting with herself. Asami assumes that Mei is sad about Megumi's interview, and Aiko says that when Mei needs them, they will be there for her. Then Aiko speaks alone with Yamato, and shows him Megumi's interview, where she talks about the dinners they have at night, and how she's in love with him. Yamato says that nothing has happened between them, but Aiko asks him to put himself in Mei's shoes. The whole school knows that they spend time at Megumi's apartment at night, and now the model talks about loving him. Surely he would be angry with Mei if she secretly saw a male model at night without telling him. And finally, she advised him to clear up this misunderstanding before things get worse, so he runs off to look for her at her house since she doesn't answer his calls. While he runs, Megumi calls him because they have a photo shoot today, and he tells her that he won't go and he will call the agency later, and that makes Megumi deeply angry. Yamato arrives at Mei's house, and her mother tells him that she hasn't arrived yet. Meanwhile at the bakery, Mei runs into an unusual customer. When the boy sees her Mayako Land keychain, he goes crazy, and asks her to give it to him. He a big fan of Mayako Land, and it's the limited edition keychain, but she refuses. Before leaving, the boy says that he is Kai, and will soon transfer to Mei's school. Later on the way home, Mei wonders if Yamato put his couple's keychain on his phone like she did, and she can't help but cry, and Melancholy thinks that since she realized that she loves him, she started to suffer. She tries to wipe her tears with her wrists, and her love bracelet breaks, scattering everywhere. Suddenly, Yamato comes running, and finds her crying. She says that she is tired of this. She fell in love with him, and could only think about him, and tried to support him in his modeling career, and not think badly of Megumi's intentions, and she doesn't like feeling like that, and he apologizes saying that she hasn't changed, and he was the careless one in their relationship, and he swears that nothing has happened between him and Megumi. At that moment, he sees the broken love bracelet on the ground, and starts crying while gathering the beads, and Mei also bends down to pick them up crying, so he hugs her crying even more, and Mei can't help but think that they are both amateurs in love. But that's where the video ends. I will be doing a part 2, so make sure to like and to subscribe to not miss it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.